Hi everyone, welcome back to Keeping Up with the Chaldeans. I'm Anthony Toma, your host, and today we have Robert Esshaki with Rudy's Prime Steakhouse. What's up, Rob?
What's going on, Anthony?
How
Thanks
are
for
you,
having
sir?
me here.
Thanks for joining us. The steakhouse is coming along. You want to give us a little background on where this brainchild came from?
Yeah, you know what? It's we're pretty excited about it. We're opening October 15th for our official day. We'll have
2024, just in case you're watching this.
2024. You know, we're opening in a few weeks. We're super excited. We're gonna do some friends and families. We're still trying to nail that down. That's kind of the week of the 8th, so it's coming up pretty quickly here. We've owned, my partner and I, Chris Thomas, have owned Rudy's for like 30, roughly 30 plus years, and
Rudy's Market, the location.
yeah, Rudy's Market. It's in downtown Clarkston, and there's some other great restaurants down there, Fed and some of the union joints, and we've had a grocery store down there for 30 years. And a couple years ago, we closed it. Just it needed some remodeling, and we were trying to kind of figure out what to do with it, if we were going to sell the building. And so, kind of the steakhouse concept came up. We were going to do a restaurant there, and actually, Joe Barbat from Prime Concepts, I saw him at a wedding, and he convinced me to, turn it into a steakhouse. So a little shout out to Joe there, and we, from there, we just, kind of manifested into what it is today, which is, we brought in the Soroki architecture, Victor and Alex Soroki, and they've kind of been quarterbacking the project from A to Z. They're designing it, and they recommended a general contractor, John Kelly, and great decisions on hiring both those teams, and they've done a fantastic job for us. And this is it. We're getting open soon.
Talk about the relationship now between you and the architect, and how he developed your vision into an actual brick and mortar reality.
Yeah, so that's a good question. So one of the reasons we hired Victor and Alex was because it's a historical building, and we also have a building next door that we'll talk about a little bit later. So we needed somebody that could really get it through the city, because you have to have a lot of expertise working with historical buildings, and plus it was basically for all intent purposes it was a tear down. So we needed some real professionals, and it's not my area of expertise. I wanted to focus on my business and what I do, and so we wanted someone that could really oversee the project. We met with them a couple times, and we looked at some of their projects, some of the things they've done, and we really wanted something that was timeless, really classy. We looked at some other architects that want to do some, maybe, I don't want to call it flashier, but different type projects, and we landed on them. Our concept is, it's not Vegas or Miami Steakhouse where, all the frills and bells and whistles,
yeah.
But it's also not like, Capitol Grill or Andiamo's, and I love both those places,
Sure.
But it's not Frank Sinatra either, right?
Right.
So it's, we wanted something, sexy, but still classic and timeless, and that's what they offered us, and that's how we kind of settled on them.
What kind of capacities there?
120 seats, if we jam them in there on a Friday and Saturday night, roughly.
Gotcha. So describe a Friday and Saturday night. So you're going to take reservations at just dinner, right? This is not a lunch
dinner.
spot.
Yeah,
okay.
it's just dinner. We're open, our hours are, 4 to 10 during the week, 4 to 11 on the weekends. And, we're in the beginning, like when we open, we're going to slow reservations. We're going to open on a Tuesday so we can kind of launch it slowly with maybe 50 to 80 reservations. If that goes well, we'll have people in the queue, obviously, but we'll open it back up to get more. And our hope is by the first Saturday, we'll do maybe 120 to 150. The goal ultimately is to turn over a restaurant like 2.5 times. So hopefully by week 2 or week 3 on that Friday and Saturday, we'll be in that 250 to 300 guest range.
What's the ambiance there? So what should someone expect as the ambiance as they're walking in and sitting down and enjoying their meal?
Yeah, so I would say that it's really elegantly and designed. I mean, we think it's gorgeous, obviously, but I think you're going to find a lot of things in there that are, it's a pretty modern yet classic look. And we spent a lot of time like on the tables. We didn't, we talked about white cloth, and I'm not a big white cloth table fan. So our tables are actually we have 3 different kinds of tables there. They're gorgeous. We have I think the bar is going to be one thing about the restaurant is it's you can see every space. It's wide open, so
Okay.
it's an open floor plan. And so when you walk into the right, we have a really super fun bar that Victor and his team designed, and it came out gorgeous. And next to the
is
bar,
it
we have
seated?
a lounge.
Is it a seated bar? Yeah.
Yeah, there's like 14 seats at the bar, but
Oh, wow.
we added a lounge. You know, it's similar to the concept of what Capitol Grill does, because you know we've been there a million times,
Yeah.
and we love to sit in that lounge. It's not the same shape because it's our bar is long and the lounge is next to it, and there's some couches in there, and it's a real fun look.
Mm-hmm.
And that's they can sit in the lounge just for a cocktail. They can have dinner there. They can have some of the bar menu in
Wow.
there. And when we get busy, we'll if we're over kind of, we have too many people in the place, we'll close that down only for guests that are waiting, so they don't, we'll serve them drinks until their tables are ready.
Gotcha.
And so that's
And
kind of
are those? Is the lounge going to require a reservation, or is that kind of just walk-in traffic?
You know what? Everything's going to require a reservation right now. We're going to kind of feel that out, but I think generally speaking, we're gonna feel that out. Like I know at Capitol Grill, for example, I keep bringing them up because part of what we do is modeled after them because they do such a great job. But over there, like some of the tables are reserved, but the bar obviously you can just walk in. That's first come, first serve. And then depending on what the reservation book looks like, how busy we're getting, we'll decide whether we're going to keep that open. So
Yeah.
if it's a Friday or Saturday night, that'll be all reserved. But during the week, you'll be able to just come in there,
You talked about walking in and the bar being first come first serve. You can have a meal there. It's full,
Absolutely.
full menu.
Yep, full menu.
The bartender will take care of you, get you going.
Yep,
and
there'll be a
everything
bar
like that?
menu from I think we're going to open at 4, so there'll just be the bar menu from 4 to 5, a little bit smaller menu, and then after 5 o'clock, it's the full menu.
And is this a 7 days a week?
It's going to be 6 days a week right now. Mondays we're going to be closed.
Okay.
And we'll look at that down the road and see if it's worth opening on Mondays.
Talk a little bit about the I guess the lay of the land in Clarkston. You mentioned a couple other restaurants. Talk about it being a destination.
Yeah, so interestingly, when we first went in there, there wasn't a lot going on. When Rudy's was kind of Rudy's Market was kind of a
This was
old
80,
type grocery
85,
store.
right?
No,
80
this was what year was this?
I'm sorry, 87.
88,
88,
89,
88,
yeah.
okay,
And
okay.
so right around when you opened Wonder
Yep,
Market,
yep.
we kind of went into it at the same time. And we first went down there was nothing really going on. There was an old-fashioned grocery store. Kurt Catello and the Union Joints came in there, and his first restaurant down there was the Union, and then he opened the Wood Shop, and then Honcho, and then later the Fed opened, and then actually there's a great little breakfast and lunch spot called Brunch 2 House, owned by a friend of mine, Brian, which is outstanding. It's worth the trip if you guys ever want to, have a great breakfast or lunch. And so once, kind of, it's evolved into a restaurant destination town. So,
Right.
Normally when I go there and I go in all the restaurants, you'd think it would be a lot of locals, and there are some locals, but it's, people are coming from Fenton, Grand Blanc, Bloomfield, Birmingham, Rochester, all the surrounding areas, Waterford. And so we think it's going to just add to what's already going on there. We're looking, that's why I wanted a concept that was totally different than anyone else was doing, so that, it's, kind of a rising tide lifts all boats philosophy.
For sure. So being that this is Keeping Up with the Chaldeans, why don't you speak to our Chaldean people and kind of seduce them with, I guess, the menu and the ability to book a reservation?
Yeah. So what I'll say is that obviously, we're going to figure out ways to attract the Chaldean community out there. Obviously I'm Chaldean, and I love our community, and so at the end of the day, they're spending a lot of the economic dollars, especially at restaurants, bars, and stuff like that. And Clarkston, it's a little bit further than coming, depending on where they live, than coming to Birmingham. But at the same time, it's closer than you think, and especially for a lot of them that live in that Union Lake area, in the Commerce area, kind of the back roads are there, and
West Bloomfield.
and we're going to advertise within our community, and we're going to cater to them, especially because generally speaking, the Chaldeans like to eat late, so we'll get them in there, at the 8:30 and 9 o'clock reservations. And listen, our people, they want to be pampered, they want to be taken care of. They're not afraid to spend the money. They just want to make sure they're taken care of, and so we're going to make sure that we do that. And the other thing is, it's like right? Chaldeans own the restaurant, me and Chris. So it's one of those things where, yeah, is the reservation book going to be filled? Yeah, because we're going to control that an open table. But we're always going to have, spots open for friends, family, friends of friends, friends of friends of friends, cousins of cousins. So, we'll get some information out there, how they can contact us directly without, kind of blowing up our phones on a daily basis. We'll give them a contact, then we'll get everybody in because we really want to see them and cater to them.
Maybe you could take a little advice from Carlo Cusa and how he handles that. His phone ringing off the hook.
Yeah, well, he
Poor
knows,
guy.
I know a lot of people, and he knows a lot more people than me. So,
Yeah.
But I think he enjoys answering those phone calls.
Yeah, no doubt. He's a facilitator for
sure.
Talk about the menu. Let's dig into that.
So the menu is, it's funny because, we've been, Brian, our mutual friend, Brian Nager, is, he keeps on saying, hey, when's the menu ready? When's the menu ready? And I'm like, oh, it's coming soon. It's coming soon. And weirdly, we're opening the restaurant in a few weeks, and we just finished the menu yesterday. So it's kind of a traditional steakhouse menu to a certain degree with a little bit of a flair. I will tell you that, we are very fortunate. I do want to talk about our team a little bit. We're super fortunate. We hired a director of operations, kind of the number one guy there that's really helping us get the restaurant open. His name is Curtis Nordine, and he comes from Capital Grill and Eddie Merlot's. He was, he's got like 15 years and 100 years in the restaurant business, but 15 years in the steak. And then we hired a gentleman named JB, who's from New York, and he's a wine guru. He's putting together our wine list, and he is also going to be our hospitality director. We're going to be big on hospitality, right? People go to a restaurant because they want to be pampered. They want to be taken care of. If they wanted to move their plates or, put stuff away or clean their table, they can do that at home. So we're going to kind of hang our hat on hospitality. And then we added they were involved in the hiring process, and they hired our head chef, and his name is Josh Stockton. And, it's a funny story. Up until like 10 days ago, I hadn't even tasted this food.
Yeah.
And so I kept on telling, Curtis and JV, when are we going to taste the food? When are we going to taste the food? And they were like, don't worry, we got this guy. So we did some small tastings. We finally got our certificate of occupancy, and he cooked everything on the menu. And I couldn't have been happier. The presentation, it was like a piano getting lifted off my back. And so the menu is going to be fairly traditional, a decent amount of seafood on the appetizers, but some unique stuff that we're doing. And then obviously we're going to do lots of, great steaks from local places. And, we're going to do some Wagyu, American Wagyu. We're going to do lamb chops. We're going to do veal. But I think that the appetizers and the sides are kind of where we're going to hang our hat. I think people are going to be very excited once they taste everything because the food's great.
Can we announce a spoiler alert or spoil something? Give us some names or some items on the appetizers and some items on the sides.
So like the appetizers, I would say like there's an octopus, and there's an octopus, Spanish octopus, which is, a lot of people are doing right now, but this one is really good. He cooks it perfectly. It's not really a salad, but it's got some greens with it.
Okay.
And so that's, I think, something that a lot of people order. We're doing a great scallop. We did a scallop as an appetizer. We didn't want to put it on the main menu because I think everybody wants to have one or two. They don't want to have it as their, so those are coming out great.
Interesting.
We did a cauliflower appetizer, but it's not breaded. A lot of the cauliflower appetizers you're seeing now, it's kind of a grilled cauliflower, and it's outstanding. People are going to love it.
Awesome.
And we're selecting everything from A to Z, from the finest purveyors out there. We're really all foodies. So, I told and we have a great pastry chef. So, we have 4 main desserts. They're nothing like over the top as far as like, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. There's a carrot cake. There is a chocolate cake. There is a creme brulee and an apple with ice cream, and they're all outstanding. And, one of the things that, I've told anybody that's cooking, it's a very simple philosophy. If there's, 6 people at the table and, they take a bite, at least 5 of those people should be, wow, this is great. So that's their job. If they can't do that, then they can't work at Rudy's. But so far, they've hit it on the mark.
Very good. So let's talk about the wine. You mentioned the wine guy. Let's talk about the menu. And you guys are no slouches in the wine game
we've been doing
already.
We've been doing it a long time. So I'm going to kind of give you a little segue into the wine too. So a couple of years ago we bought the building next door, and so this is the first project of what is hopefully going to be 3 or 4 restaurants. And next door,
You're talking about Rudy's Prime
Rudy's
Steakhouse
Prime
is the first
is the
of,
first.
okay.
And then next door, we have a building with 3 floors. And in the basement of that, we have it's an old Michigan basement, and it's absolutely gorgeous. It needs to be restored, but it's old brick and rock. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a wine cellar. We're gonna dig up the floors 3 more feet. You know, we had a structural engineer come out, 10-foot ceilings, and we're gonna put a huge, vast wine cellar with a small down there, with a small bar down there, in case, you know, people come in, and that will serve both the restaurants. So it'll be connected. The second concept we haven't developed yet, but it'll be indoor, outdoor dining with a European courtyard. It's really gonna be a special project.
Oh.
And then, you know, potentially, you know, and hopefully a cigar bar with a patio upstairs. But one of the reasons that we're so like bullish on wine is because of this wine cellar that we're going to have in the basement. And so we're going to try to create an experience. You know, when you go to a restaurant nowadays, you know, you want the place to be gorgeous. You want the place to, you know, the food to be great. You want to have great service, but you also want an experience.
Right.
And so people will come downstairs and they'll be able to have a glass of wine, pick out their wine, taste the wine before their dinner while they're waiting for their table, or at the same time when they're done eating and, you know, they want to extend the evening, they can come downstairs, and we're going to have tons of inventory down there, a lot of really cool stuff. We're already collecting wine. So JB is that guy that we hired to write our wine list. You know, we're looking for that perfect mix with, you know, old world wines, new world wines, and labels that people know, as well as labels that we can refer. And so he's been tasting everything, coming up with some great products. And one last thing I'll add about the wine is that we really want to be what we want to be known for there is being fairly priced on the wine. A lot of times you go to a lot of restaurants and, you know, you see something in the grocery store and it's $20, and you know it's $20.
Yeah.
And you go in the restaurant and it's $60, $70.
Right.
And so while, you know, everybody's got to make money and there has to be a profit, you know, we want to be, you know, it's a high-end fine dining steakhouse. So the value has to be in what you provide to the customer. So,
Sure.
you know, steaks are expensive. So we want to be able to provide some value, and we're going to do that with the wine list. So we're very excited about that.
So you'll have a sommelier on site?
We will we will not when we open originally, because JB is you know, he's not a registered sommelier, but he has a great palate and he knows great wines. But ultimately, when we do the second project, and we do the wine cellar in the basement, we'll have a full-time sommelier that will be,
Beautiful.
you know, there all day, every day.
What's the parking situation?
The parking situation is right now it's fluid.
Yeah.
You know, you know, what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to bring in valet.
Okay.
Right now we don't have it. You know, we're going to work with the city, plus hopefully our neighbors next door. And there's some possibilities where they can go, but you know, definitely it's similar to Birmingham, right? You know, you got to find a spot to park. Unfortunately, we don't have. There's a lot of public parking, and usually you might have to drive around once or twice, but you'll find a spot. People are moving in all the time, and you know, the reality is that there's plenty of parking Sundays, Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays.
Yeah.
You know, it's that 4 or 5 hour period on a Thursday or a Friday where the parking get challenging. So one of the things we'll do is our employees and our team members are going to park off site. We're going to work with the other restaurants and the city to come up with some other options. There is a lot owned by a friend of ours behind us that they charge for parking.
Yeah.
And you know, so you know, you may have to pay for parking, you know, similar to Birmingham or Rochester
sure.
or most cities. But our attitude is kind of, you know, we feel like we're going to make the experience, the overall experience, the hospitality, the food, you know, the music, just everything in there, a cut above what everybody else is doing, you know, outside of Clarkston, so that people don't mind the extra, the added kind of, you know, pain of finding a parking
Sure.
spot.
What about the rest of the team? The bartenders, the waiters, the wait staff, the hostess, all of that stuff. Let's kind of describe what they're going to be, their uniforms are, and
Yeah.
what the deal is there. And
Yeah, so we have that's a great one. So you know, as you know, we run, you know, EOS, and I know your company uses that. It's just kind of this business program for those of you that don't know what it is. It's just it's based off this book called Traction, and a lot of it is just based on the right people and the right seats. And you know, we have a philosophy of A performers, and that's what we hire, and that's what we keep, and that's what we kind of, you know, cultivate. And you know, one of the most important things that, you know, that we talk about all the time is, you know, for us, the customer is second. That's the motto of our company, both our corporate dining company. The customer is second. Our team is first. And you know, it's kind of backwards, but in order to really give every single guest a great experience, you know, you have to treat your team well, and you have to hire the right people. You have to train them. You have to give them the tools to succeed. You know, most people want to do well, right?
Yeah.
And if you put them in an environment where they're not being trained, they're not being taught, they don't have great leadership, they don't have a great culture, there's a lot more failures. But when you surround them and you support them and you cultivate you have a great culture, and you give them leadership training, and you know, you treat everybody well, then I think you'll find that there's a lot of really great qualified people out there. And so, you know, we have a head bartender, you know, who, you know, her name is Ann. Every drink that she's made has been, you know, amazing. And so I think it's just, for us, you know, we've been able to hire every position. We're fully staffed at this point. You know, I'm sure there'll be some turnover. And so, you know, as far as the uniforms go, we didn't do anything too crazy. They're kind of just white. You know, our waiters and waitresses are like in a white shirt, gray tie, and a cool gray apron.
Nice.
And you know, again, it's we want to make it fun. We want to make it sexy, but it's still a steakhouse. And so, you know, we're not trying to get over the top with it.
Gotcha. So it sounds like all of that does translate into the customer being number one.
It does.
At the end result is
does.
the customer ends up being number one.
It does.
Or feeling
it's a
like
little
they're
backwards.
number one, for sure. So I guess I think we covered everything.
Yeah, I think everything's good. I mean, we're excited about the menu, and again, we're opening October 15th. Kind of a limited reservation list. And
How does someone get a reservation?
they go online. They go to Open Table.
Open Tables is where you're running through.
Or they text me.
Yeah.
As a lot of people will do. But no, generally, yeah, everything's going to run through Open Table.
Okay.
And
Makes it clean.
yeah, it makes it clean, makes it easy, and so that's it. We're looking forward to seeing everybody there, and you know, obviously, we know Anthony Tomo will be there, and he'll be a VIP. So
Oh yeah.
thanks for having us, and we're looking forward to seeing everybody there.
All right. Signing off, guys.
Thank you, everybody.